I look at literature around the world, it strikes me that Indian mythology is without doubt the motherlode of stories. There seems to be no type of character or situation or even possibly style that has not found place in our mythology. Today I'm going to introduce you to a contemporary Indian author who's trawling this treasure chest of Indian mythology to create new ways of seeing and exploring our vast land. In addition to writing a number of recent bestsellers built around the eternal stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, he's also working on a major series on Shivagami, the strong female character in the Bahubali series. Meet the very versatile Anand Neelakantan.
That must have been fascinating. You know, being in Delhi is fascinating, but doing door-to-door selling in Delhi must be one of the most interesting things.
I didn't know a word of Hindi.
Very good. That's a great starting point in Delhi.
I by heart had some, even I remember that. एक भाई जी बहन जी एक तवा है इसका कीमत है 100 रुपया आप एक ले ले तो एक मुफ्त.
Right. So Anand, so let's talk about the wonderful world of mythology that you inhabit and you bring out. To me, the most interesting part of that is the number of places that you bring out in this, right? When you look at the map of India and the mythology of India, what do you see?
See, one of the most fascinating thing about mythology is it's very much linked to the place. You see, there are 18 Puranas, they say, but more than that, there will be around 20 to 30 times Sthala Puranas.
Sthala Puranas, okay.
Each place has its own mythology.
Okay.
Now, if you take Ramayana, one of the greatest thing is, it's a pan-Indian story. There is not a single place which is left out.
Right.
Every place, see, like now you go to Nashik. Nashik is the place where Shurpanaka's nose was cut.
Right.
And then Panchavadi is nearby. Now you take another place called Chadayamangalam in Kerala, in Koilon district. Now one of the world's biggest statue is coming up there. It's called Jadayupara.
Right.
That's a place where Jadayu fell.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have this habit of, even the great temples of Tamil Nadu, now you see, they have painted it like Disneyland now.
Right. Yeah.
Colorful, very colorful. It is supposed to be in granite. Granite is supposed to bring out the features very well.
Right.
And they are giving multi-Asian paint or some paint, I don't know. And they have started putting bathroom tiles on the granite thing. So it's very sad what is happening, how the heritage is getting destroyed.
So from a mythology perspective, and if you take the Vindhyas and the north, north of the Vindhyas, which according to you is the most interesting place? If you take the Hindu mythology.
Himalayas, the entire Himalayas have inspired so many stories.
Right.
Apart from Himalayas, if you ask me as a connoisseur of Sanskrit poetry, I will say Ujjain.
Ujjain.
Of Kalidas.
Of course.
Megha Sandesham and other things.
I first heard of the bird Veerambal in its Malayalam telling. Kalidasa's Sanskrit poem Megha Sandesham or Meghaduta has probably the most evocative words ever written on the Indian monsoon, including the reference to this fascinating bird called Chataka in Sanskrit that drinks only fresh rainwater as it falls from the sky. The story of how a yaksha was banished from Alakapuri by Kubera and who tries to entice a passing monsoon cloud to deliver a message to his pining wife back home. I often wonder, what stops us from creating an extraordinary monsoon tour of our land built around this Kalidasa classic?
So Anand, the other thing that keeps striking me as I read your books, for example, is how much there is potential possibly in mythology and the storytelling of Indian mythology for Indian tourism. Have you ever thought about that? Do you think that's possible?
See, we have not explored it at all. Actually, I am quite passionate about these things. Every place has a story to tell. Even a stone has a story to tell in India. But we have not utilized it in any medium. It is very unfortunate that we keep imitating Hollywood, we keep imitating the Western style of storytelling. Whether it is TV, whether it is films, we try to go by the same formula. We neither have their kind of money to make it so great, technically perfect also, and we are not true to our roots. So we fall in between. We are neither here nor there. So, and we keep wondering why we are not able to make films like them. Of course, now films are coming, like Bahubali is an example. Bahubali is an example where the place had the entire importance. Like Mahishmati, this mythical empire, we know that it is some Indian empire.
Right.
It is not explicitly told.
Right.
Now, if you take a place like Hampi, You go there, you can visualize Tenali Rama, we can visualize Krishnadeva Raya there.
Right.
Another place is Konark.
Konark, yeah. Yeah.
Konark, you can see, you go there and you hear the myth of how this was built, and you say the Ken Follett Pillars of the Earth, if you read that. And now you come to Konark and you see that you have got a much bigger fascinating story which nobody has told. I was always wanting to tell these kind of stories, how these places were built. You go to Tanjavur, how this place was built.
Exactly.
It talks about the entire history of India, where there is this interesting snippet where Rajaraja Chola was in an expansive mode. He was conquering empire over empire, and the entire Indian Ocean rim he had conquered from here to Indonesia. The Chola empire had gone and sacked some of the other Hindu empires in the east.
Right.
In spite of having rivalry with the other kings, he wanted this temple to be consecrated with the waters of all the rivers in India.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So he waited and he sent emissaries right from Kashmir to the present day Sindh, to all these places, to Patliputra, to get waters. See the spirit of unity of India, even though politically they were rivals. And it is a very interesting snippet of history that all the kings, in spite of the rivalry they were scared of this one big king, the big naval empire who was going and conquering all over the world. If you see Rajaraja Chola and Rajendra Chola, these fathers and duo might be the greatest Indian emperors. Not Ashoka, not Akbar.
But the sheer expanse
and the sheer cultural impact they gave to the entire Asia.
That's right.
Another place, fascinating place which you find is Kolachal.
Kolachal, yeah, which is southern Tamil Nadu, right?
See, until Japan defeated Russia in 1905, no Asian power other than Marthandavarma had defeated a European power after the European expansion started.
Right.
How many Indian students, especially up north, know about Marthandavarma?
Yeah.
A few scholarly books talk about him, but he defeated the entire Dutch army. And we think it is a very small achievement. It is not, because Dutch had conquered Indonesia. Before British, Dutch had conquered Sri Lanka. We might be having the conversation in Dutch, perhaps, had not this Battle of Kolachal happened.
Oh, wonderful. Incredible. And these are all incredible stories that if you are able to weave.
Every place has, if I talk in TV language, every place is 200 episodes.
Right.
Just see the example of Singapore. A small state which will be half of Navi Mumbai. Forget Mumbai, it will be half of Navi Mumbai. It has got almost double or triple, or perhaps you might be having a better numbers than the entire India.
Tourism,
Tourism. I remember going and seeing some that water and fire show.
Yeah, it is a Sentosa Island show.
Sentosa Island show.
Yeah.
They tell it very beautifully, but they tell a stupid story. As a storyteller, you feel sad. They have only this story to tell. And you can hear any villager will tell a better story than that. But unfortunately, we don't have the means. We have never explored the means of telling that. You take the spice route on the coast, on the west coast, and the port like Muzaris. Even Kalyan was a big port of ancient days.
Yeah.
You take the port of Muzaris.
In fact, they say that the spice trade is the first example of globalization in the world.
Yeah. Spice trade was so it tells a world history, and we have not even explored that.
Yeah, and we haven't, and it's very interesting. I must tell you this. I don't know whether in Indonesia near Jakarta there is a place called Batavia, which is the old Dutch capital of Indonesia. And I happened to go to the museum there. And you know what? I found a bunch of very interesting artifacts that are from Kerala, ancient Kerala. So the trade route had obviously taken things that and so our connections with that land. Tremendous stories.
There are small Hindu communities inside China even now.
Oh, is it?
Small villages where they follow Hinduism. There are gotras of Brahmins living there who are Chinese.
Right.
These are we associate Hinduism very closely to India, but a lot of colonies are there. Many Southeast Asian countries were either Buddhist or Hindu before, like Indonesia, for example, before they got converted to Islam.
Yeah.
And this is true about Arabia also. Many parts of the places have got small pockets, small communities which still have the memory of these stories which has been passed on. Whereas wherever we travel in India, each place is unique. We have to sell this uniqueness and this diversity of India.
Right.
We cannot tell Ramayana in one way. There are so many Ramayans. Each Ramayana can be a selling point for India's heritage and tourism.
Right.
Each Shakti Beat, I am not telling you commercialize this. I am telling the stories the world has to know.
Right.
Harry Potter is nothing. Harry Potter, they have made a huge
Franchise all of that.
franchisee and selling point out of it. You take the kind of fantasy world which this mythology and epics have. Whatever it is coming, I am not denigrating the West. They know how to package it.
Right.
But I am telling, we have got a much richer culture which we are yet to explore.
Right.
Just imagine a tourism circuit of Ramayana.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It covers the whole country.
It covers the whole country from north to south. We cannot sell Indian tourism without selling the mythology and history. We cannot take it away from that. There is no point in creating another Disneyland or another Sentosa Island here. We will not be able to sustain with that. And this is our advantage which we are having. We have got, history can be a burden, history can be an advantage. We are using it as a burden. No. We are carrying the burden, we are blaming each other on the past guilt or past crimes, which is a very unfortunate way of doing things.
So tell me about your childhood.
See, a place makes a person. That's what I believe. So childhood was spent in a place which has got more temples than necessary, perhaps. Almost 108 temples are there. A place called Tripunithura. It's in the. Actually, it was the capital of Cochin Kingdom, Princely Kingdom earlier.
Right.
Lots of temples, lots of legends. So mostly childhood was spent where these people used to sit in the veranda and neighbors will be there. All are these kind of people. They will discuss on Purana. So I grew up listening to that and participating in that.
So, just one thing that I was curious about. So, temples themselves, as a child growing up, a very small child growing up in Kerala, I've always found temples to be great places of refuge in some ways, social interaction another way. Kerala's temples had a role in life, right? So how did, for you living in a place with 108 temples obviously means a lot. So how did temples play a role in your childhood life?
See, temples were never about praying, frankly. Those who wanted to pray, they used to pray at home.
Right.
Temples don't give that, because how the temples were built, it was built for hardly a few people.
Right.
Earlier days.
Right.
Later it changed to a social interaction place. So what happens is your entire childhood is spent on the temple pond. There is elephant will be there definitely. A lot of temples had elephants.
Right.
And this is how the culture seeps in. Otherwise, how will you now? What happens? No, many people now when I meet, even I also write for TV. TV has a habit of standardizing everything and going in the least path of resistance.
Right.
And they try to standardize the same thing. You don't get the exposure to various other forms of culture.
Diversity just goes out of the window effectively.
Hi, I'm Anand Neelakantan. I'm really proud to be a part of Holiday HiQ travel community.
To join India's largest travel community, simply log on to holidayIQ.com and add your travel review, and you're there.